Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Javar here with Mark Zinno. Zinno, it's Monday morning. How was your weekend? We had the weekend off from the show. How are you feeling?
Profitable. Outside of a bumpy
Love.
Friday night, we rebounded on Saturday. Had a nice little bet on Sunday Night Baseball yesterday. So we are doing good. And it was a NRFI weekend. Did you see the numbers this weekend from the NRFI? I was in NRFI heaven. I was enjoying the hell out of it.
It's Yeah, it's insane. We're gonna get into that because we got a little bit of YRFI nerfy talk today. We also have as the trend your friend. We have our MLB picks, and then as you know, we've been talking about football, NFL season, college football right around the corner. So we're gonna get into the Big 12 Heisman Watch. We have Bobby Stanley coming on previewing the AFC East player props, what he likes. I know I like a couple Josh Allen props that I'm looking at heading into the season. And Zeno, you have a couple that you're looking at too. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's bet it. Major League Baseball. Is the trend your friend? I want to start talking about this. I have 4 good trends today. You tell me if you're going to friend it, if you're going to pass it, or if you're going to fade it. Okay? You ready?
Okay. Let's
First
do it.
one, Reds run line. Reds 6-0 as run line dogs in their last 6 against the Mets.
I'm going to back this trend here. You know, when we get to the pick with more depth, there is a trend right here that favors Cincinnati and basically makes this a coin flip bet here. I'll dive into it just in a minute when we start talking more individual picks, but I'm going to back this trend. So more on that in a moment.
We have a friend for that trend. What about Mariners, Yankees? Yes, runs first inning. I know the NRFI was big and hot yesterday, but today, what do we feel about the Yankees 5-0 to the NRFI and their last 5 games in Seattle?
I mean, is this the toughest bet in baseball right now to back the New York Yankees in this spot? They just got swept by the Cardinals. They lost 5 in a row, whatever it is. I mean, it's been bad. And this is a point to, they lost a game yesterday where they scored 9 freaking runs. So it's not like their bats are necessarily gone silent, but they also lost a game to the Cardinals. It was a 1-0 game. So they're losing it from all ends right now. We talked a little bit about the regression. I don't know. Just when you have Aaron Judge in the top of the lineup and he's hitting home runs at the pace he is, to bet in NRFI is an awfully risky proposition. You better be getting plus money or something very close to even money if I'm going to back that. So I don't know if I want that to be my friend.
Okay, let's talk about some teams from Cali. The A's are 6-0 in their last 6 against the Angels. They just have their number at this point. Are you backing that?
No, because I don't know that there's enough consistency from the A's to make that more than coincidence at this point. I'd really have to dive into who the starters were and, how the game sort of unfolded a little bit. But on the surface, when a team is that bad, they don't have anybody's number, right? It's just more luck than it is and coincidence than it is necessarily a trend that I could follow. So no friend there for me.
We have 1 friend, 2 unfriends. What about this one? Let's end up at 500. Orioles versus Jays, the over. They're 6-0 to the over in the last 6 meetings between these 2 teams.
Yeah, you get Kikuchi and Lyles going tonight. And this is a game that I actually did look at. High number at 9.5, and it's juiced to the under, but they set this thing extra high here. So I would probably friend this trend just knowing Camden Yards a hitter's ballpark. They did move the fences back a little bit, but Toronto's been blasting the heck out of the ball as of late. So you got 2 offenses that can still score. And Orioles, despite the Orioles made all these trades at the deadline and were sellers, they're still in the thick of this thing. So they got reason to try to win games and score runs. So let's make it a friend.
We're at 50% with our friends today. I can deal with that. 2 new friends heading into YRFI and NRFI. NRFI, like you were saying, went 12-3 yesterday. 12-3.
Yep.
That's insane. I know you're on a NRFI today with that Mets Reds game. Tell me a little bit more about it because you got it at plus money.
Yeah, I found it at plus 102 on FanDuel. I mean, the Mets are the best team in baseball at home this year and not allowing first inning runs, just 11% to the NRFI at home this year. And they're starting Chris Bassett, who's done very well to the NRFI this year. Cincinnati is the real risk here. Justin Dunn, who's getting the start in this game, is making his first start off the IL, hasn't pitched since the middle of June, so it's been 6 weeks since he's thrown a pitch. Cincinnati's 16th this year in opponent first inning run scored percentage, allowing opponents just to score 27% of the time. However, that bumps up to 31% on the road. It's, again, I think there's no problem with the Mets getting through the first inning. I'm hopeful for a little Mets regression here after the big series with Atlanta. Bats may go a little bit cold, at least early on in the game. And after all the emotional energy spent through the whole thing, I'm expecting a little bit of a letdown spot for the Mets. So when I get it at plus money, it's worth me to take it, the NRFI in the spot between the Mets and Cincy.
And that's why you're also on the Reds money line too, right?
Yeah, so here's the trend. We talked about this before. And this basically works out to a coin flip bet. Since 2019 through July 31st of this year, Major League Baseball favorites of minus 200 or greater, which the Mets are. They are minus 327 tonight. I think it's 320 is the number. So a massive, massive favorite. They are just 106 and 105 through the end of July of this year. If you were to bet all those favorites, you would be down 22 units. So this is a spot right here, again, coming off the big series with the Braves, the Mets feeling all high and mighty. They're going to I think they're going to get caught napping here. And again, if you're telling me this is a 50-50 proposition, despite the fact that the Reds are this heavy of an underdog and getting plus 260, why not throw a pizza bet on it, right? Like, I mean, it's worth it for the payout alone to get 2.5 to 1. So I'm just kind of backing this trend here. And on Mondays, by the way, this is an even bigger number. So because what happens on Mondays? There's getaway day. Yeah, there's getaway day and teams are moving and things. So generally, there's a lot of flux in the lineup from a Sunday to a Monday as guys may get a day off after a big weekend series and things of that nature. You may see some Mets get the day off against a lesser team like Cincinnati. It's a perfect spot for the Reds to go and steal one.
Okay, why not? I love it. And I know that Jared isn't here. He's still making his cross-country trip to Vegas. He'll officially be there tomorrow. Yes. He's back on the show tomorrow. You had to throw in a walk prop just because we missed Jared so much.
We did.
Jameson Tyrone, what do you like about his walks?
We have to give homage to the one and only Jared Smith, the king of the walk prop here. And it is juicy as all hell. James Tyrone over 1.5 walks at minus 170. Look, Tyrone has gone over this number in his last 3 consecutive starts. He's walked 9 guys in his last 13 1/3 innings over the last 3 starts. He is not a good pitcher right now, including 3 walks against a Seattle team last time out. So it has not been a good run for Tyrone. Stay on the train here. Make that train your friend here. And let's take over 1.5 walks with Jameson Tyrone.
I absolutely love it. I know I'm on a strikeout prop today, but I'm saving it for my best bet of the day. I know we're going to get into some football. Bobby Stanley is here. So we have the NFC South that we broke down last week. This week, we're starting it off the AFC East. Let's bring in Bobby Stanley, help us break down some season-long player props that we have going on. I know we're going to get into red hot chili proppers, but the AFC East at this point for me is kind of locked in with the Bills. They're definitely winning the division at this point. I feel like Josh Allen is a good guy to take some props on. Bobby, how are you today? Happy Monday.
I'm good. Happy Monday, guys. Thank you guys for having me on. And NFL is coming, so I'm excited to talk some football.
It is literally right around the corner, which we are so excited about. We want to start out this segment with some red hot chili proppers. Here's how it's going to work. I'll give you a prop. You have 30-ish seconds to tell me why you like the over or the under for the prop. Bobby, I'm coming to you first with this first one. Breece Hall, over under 830.5 rushing yards. Are you taking the over? Are you taking the under?
Gut reaction is I would go over. Rookie running backs have had some success lately. Najee Harris last year. It's going to help Zach Wilson's development if they can get a run game going. This guy was arguably the best running back in the draft. They've invested in their weapons on the offensively and on the offensive line. I think they're going to feed him the ball first and second down. He also can catch the ball very well. He will be on the field 60-70% of the time. Give me over 830.5 yards for Hall.
I like it, Zeno. What do you feel?
I mean, I get his point about rookie running backs. I'm always sketchy on them. There's a tendency some of these guys now hit a rookie wall. When you get to 10, 12 games, things start to slow down. Remember, there is an extra regular season game, but a lot of these rookies are on pitch count, so to speak, or they're not carrying the lion's share of the load. Like if I found a situation here where it was an ISO back and that was it. You know, a Dalvin Cook type situation where or a Derrick Henry where that's the only guy that's going to get the ball 18 to 20 times a game. I feel a little bit more confident on it. I certainly agree with Bobby with where he is on Breece Hall. It's not a bet that I'm personally comfortable making.
What about Gabriel Davis, Bobby? Over under 875.5 receiving yards this season.
I mean, he's the big name that's been floating around this offseason as a guy to take a jump, and especially in that offense. 875 seems low based on how he finished the end of the regular season and then a big factor in the postseason. I would lean over. I would go over 875. And I know, let's be honest, these season-long props have a propensity to go under. I think it's like 60 to 70% of them, largely due to injuries. But if we're just going off what we know, you can't plan on an injury. 875 for this guy who's emerging, I think it seems low. I go over.
No, and I'm with Bobby 100% on this one. Yeah, I mean, this is like a great play. Here's the thing about Gabriel Davis that you focus on is his yards per catch at 15.7 last year. Now, he only had 35 receptions. That number should go up. Cole Beasley is gone. Emmanuel Sanders is – I don't know what kind of effect he's going to have on that offense more than anything. But this is the guy that really takes the top off the defense. You saw what he did in the divisional playoff game against Kansas City. This is a low number. Someone else is going to have to get the ball other than Stephon Diggs. And if Josh Allen is going to continue to play at the level that he is, there is a sense that this could easily go over. It does seem low. The real question is the target share, because Allen is really good at spreading the ball around, like all good quarterbacks are. Dawson Knox is still in the tight end game there. You got two running backs in Singletary and Moss who can catch passes. There's a lot of options for him, but this should be the guy who's number 2 in this offense and getting the requisite target share to get over this number.
What about a guy like Tua Tagovailoa? Over under 38.5 passing yards this season. Do we feel good about him getting over this number, Bobby?
I'm not buying on this one. Now, I know the hype is around Tua, is around the weapons. I think something like only 11 quarterbacks exceeded this number last season. So it is a little bit harder to hit despite adding the extra game. For me, I got to see it to believe it. And this number is juiced in with the hype. With the Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the speedster, we're bringing in Mike McDaniels. I need to see it first. I would fade. I would go under on Tua's passing yards.
I know I'm with you on that one, Bobby. Zeno, are you also fading?
No, I won't bet until I see it. There's just no reason for me to put my money there. I need to see it first. There's too many questions. I've seen more questions unanswered than answered by Tua at this point in time. So not my money.
So, Bobby, you like the under for Tua, but you do like the over for Mac Jones this season, 39.5. You're high and riding on Mac. How do we feel about that?
I am riding. So just take a look at last year's numbers. He finishes the season with 3,801 yards, and he did it in 16 games. And I say in 16 games because the Week 13 Monday Night Football game against Buffalo was more of a rugby match than an actual football game. He throws for 19 yards. Let's throw that game out of the picture completely. He averages 236 yards per game as a rookie. Pretty darn good. If he uses that, if he stays the exact same way next season, he blows this out by, I think, almost 70 yards. Now, early reports outside of camp, the offense has been struggling a little bit. I attribute that more to kind of the new scheme, Josh McDaniels leaving, and the defense is usually further ahead this time of year than the offense in camp. So I'm not paying much attention to that. If you look at his yards per attempt, he's right in the Mahomes, Herbert, Prescott, Cousins range. So he is pushing the ball downfield. He just really struggled with consistency. And I think we see more of that in year 2. I took a look at their schedule, and it really opens itself up to a couple shootouts. You know, you get Buffalo twice a year, could be a shootout. Miami, maybe they'll put some points up. But looking further into their schedule, Minnesota, Colts, Bengals, Raiders, and Cards can all be shootouts. So over 4,000 yards, can he hit that 4,000-yard mark? I feel pretty good about it, Mac Jones.
I mean, you have to be a Patriots fan with this. Like you have to be. Okay, here's two problems I have. One, the receiving core. Okay, is huge question marks there. You can throw the ball down the field all you want. If the guy on the other end doesn't catch it, there's a problem there. You don't get any credit for that. So the other part of this too, more than anything, is that Matt Patricia is calling offensive plays. What are we doing in New England? Like he sucked as a DC. He sucked as a head coach. Oh, let's just try offense since we've done everything else and sucked at that too. Like, what are we doing here? This is laughable.
This, all right. For starters, Mark, I am not a Patriots fan. As far as the wide receiver corp goes, I do think Devontae Parker is a much welcomed addition. He has the ability to stretch the field because if you look at Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne, they really are more on the short and intermediate routes. They didn't have that guy last year to really have explosive plays. I think Devontae Parker can be that guy. I love their tight ends. I love Jonnu Smith. I love Hunter Henry. Henry more of a red zone target, but I think Mac Jones, if we remember him in Alabama, obviously this is not that wide receiver core. He has the ability to push the ball downfield. And if we look what Bill Belichick's doing, yes, it is Patricia, but he's kind of pulling this from the Bill Parcells. We're going to coach by committee. It's been done before. Hasn't been done lately, but it's catching a lot of heat this offseason. I do think they're going to keep a lot of the same schemes that Josh McDaniels put in place.
Listen, I wish you luck. I tell you, there was one prop I tried to look for on Mac Jones that I couldn't find. So if it's out there, point me in the right direction. But I actually like, depending on the number, his under interceptions prop for the year. He only threw 13 last year. If anything that Mac Jones is going to learn from Bill Belichick is a premium on protecting the football. He only had one, and of those 13 interceptions, by the way, 3 of them came in one game against the Saints last year. He only had 2 other multi-interception games. He knows how to take care of the football. Between Saban and Belichick, he knows how damaging interceptions can be. If you get me a number that's around 12 or 13, I would take the under on his interceptions prop.
No, okay, I actually really do like that. I want to also propose a new game that we've been playing on this show. It's called Let's Guess It on Let's Bet It. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to give you a player name and a prop, and you tell me what you think the number is going to be. I have 2 of them for you today, both of them quarterbacks, okay? So the first one, Bobby, I'll come to you first. Josh Allen rushing yards. What do you think the number is set at right now without looking?
525.
Zeno?
I was going to say about 469.5.
Bobby Stanley, you are the winner. It is 550.5 at this point. Okay, another one. Zach Wilson passing touchdowns. What do you think that number is set at, Bobby?
What it is or what it should be. 24.5. There's a lot of hype around Zach Wilson this year. I'm sure that number is inflated. I would say 24.5.
It's 20.5. 20.5.
Dang it, I don't know how to do this one because it's 22.5, which is right between both of you guys.
Whoa, hold on. What book are you looking at? Because I saw it last night at 20.5 when I was doing another show. So I want to know what book you got it at. I didn't know. Listen, you can look at the rundown. I don't know who she's going to ask me. So I was doing another show last night. We were talking about props in the AFC East rather, and I happened to go look at his touchdown prop.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Well, it's on DraftKings, set at 22.5 this morning.
FanDuel has it at 20.5, so take the over 20.5 on FanDuel.
Over 20.5 on FanDuel. That's actually good. Make sure to check that out. Okay, let's get saucy for a second, Bobby. Sauce Gardner. Tell me what you like this season for him.
Being from New Jersey, I actually work down the street from the Jets facility, so I hear camp all day when I'm in the office. I had to have a Jets prop for the show today.
You have to.
Gardner, the hype around him is so real, especially Zach Wilson this time of year. But I went another direction. I went on defense. Sauce Gardner over 1.5 interceptions. So 2 interceptions for the year. It's minus 120 on DraftKings. This guy is going to be tested in the NFL. He was not tested very much in college football, but I think as a prospect, he's one of the best cornerback prospects we've probably seen since Marshawn Lattimore. If you look at his schedule, it works in his favor. He gets Josh Allen 2 times a year, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and Trevor Lawrence. All of these guys were top 10 in interceptions last season. And that's not me even talking about Justin Fields, Jared Goff, and Drew Lock. So that for the rest of the Jets season, he could get 2 interceptions off Trevor Lawrence alone and hit this prop before the midway of the season. He had 3 interceptions in every year in college. I just think he's going to be lined up on everyone's number 1 wide receiver. They will test him early and often, and I think he can snag 2. And if you're looking for a little bit of a long shot prop, some season awards, him and Derek Stingley are both 12-1 for Defensive Rookie of the Year. There's some value there. We saw it with Marcus Peters. We saw it with Marshawn Lattimore. Just something to consider if the totals aren't your thing.
Yeah, I actually really do like this prop, and I actually think I'm going to tell you on it and take it right after the show's done today. Stephon Diggs, Zeno, You want him to lead the NFL in receptions, and you got this at a really good price, 9-1 odds. Why do you like this prop?
2 years in Buffalo, he's averaged 165 targets from Josh Allen. I don't know if you can do it better than that. I mean, literally, there's not any reason to believe that anybody is going to get that number. Look, Cooper Kupp is not going to duplicate the number that he had last year. There has to be some regression. That's just not who he has been. I get it. He had a different quarterback and everything else, but I'll bank on some regression from Cooper Kupp. Oh, by the way, Devontae Adams, he had 169 targets last year. Different guy throwing the ball. Love Derek Carr. Love Derek Carr, but he has a ton of options there that he doesn't need to get 169 targets. Stephon Diggs, I mean, the only real guy I think that is the threat is Justin Jefferson in the same offense with the same quarterback and everything else. But Diggs is a guy who's going to see those numbers, and he doesn't have to be a guy who stretches the field. I mean, he can take those 3-yard out routes all day long from Josh Allen and continue to rack up receptions. He's getting over 100. It's just a question of, does he get from 100 to 120? At 9-1, it's worth the gamble for me.
Yeah, speaking of a guy like Josh Allen. Oh, Bobby, do you have a thought on that too?
No, I was going to say it's great value at 9-1. You hit the nail on the head. The only other person that would scare me is Justin Jefferson. Coming from his new coach, coming from that similar Rams offense where they fed Cooper Kupp the ball. Totally agree with you on the regression. I think Allen Robinson actually has a really good year. But for Diggs, 9-1.
Yeah, speaking of a guy like... Oh, so do you keep going?
No, go for it.
Oh, I was just saying I'm on Josh Allen touchdown props, the over. So we could both hit this, on the same little thing. Why don't we root for each other here? But I'm honestly surprised that this number isn't higher. Right now it's set at 34.5 on FanDuel. I'm surprised it isn't a little higher from what we've seen from him over the last couple of years, right? Last year, 2020, he threw 37 touchdowns, 36 touchdowns last year. And that was in 2020 before it went to a 17-game schedule. You look at his rookie season, he only had 10 touchdowns. He doubled that in his second season with 20. His growth has really been like nothing less than incredible. He's driven, talented. He's only 26. And I don't think he's even reached what he's capable of doing. I think he's going to throw for at least 35 for his third straight season. Why not, right? I mean, you look at the receivers that he has. I think this is a really, really good number for it. I was honestly surprised it wasn't higher. So 34.5. I'm biting. I'm all in on Josh Allen right now. And it's at -112. So only laying 12 cents for it. Do you feel pretty good about that, Bobby? Or no? Are you leaning the under here?
No, I do. And there's a couple guys earlier on in the segment that we forgot to bring up. Jamison Crowder comes in as a slot receiver to fill Cole Beasley's role. He's no slouch. He was actually very, very productive, I think, for the Jets, given their quarterback play. Isaiah McKenzie's really been lighting up camp and finished the season strong. A couple 2-touchdown guy later in the regular season, won a lot of people money. And then the rookie running back, James Cook, there's reports of him spreading out as a wide receiver more in camp. So they've made it a point to add weaponry to an already solid, if not above average, with Diggs and Gabriel Davis and Dawson Knox. So over 30.5, they're adding passing targets to this man's repertoire. It's a good sign.
Yeah, I love it. And I know you're on one more prop with Mike Gesicki, right? 56.5 receptions.
I had to get a Dolphin in here and not Tua, obviously. Gesicki coming off 112 targets and 73 receptions last year, but specifically 50 catches in 13 games with Tua. You put that over the course of a season, it puts him around 64 catches. I was shocked to see this number this low, and I think it's the hype surrounding obviously Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but Chase Edmonds, the running back who's very good out of the backfield. Mike McDaniel is a Shanahan disciple. George Kittle was a very pertinent part of that San Francisco 49ers offense. He hit this line in 3 or 4 healthy seasons with the San Francisco 49ers. You go back to 2015 with the Atlanta Falcons. Shanahan had McDaniels with him. Jacob Tamme had the best year of his career, 59 targets from a guy that we all probably forgot by now.
And he was hurt that year.
He was, yep. No, I mean, the tight end is a very integral part of this offense. So to see Gesicki's line really not move much, I think it speaks more to the public than anything else. But he will be on this field blocking, and I think a lot of underneath stuff is going to open for him with Hill and Waddle being the burners they are. So over 56.5 receptions for Gesicki, I think is being undervalued at this point in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. Bobby, we so appreciate you coming on the show, breaking down the AFC East with us. Thank you so much. Great insight from you. And we're going to be talking about the AFC East, I think, again tomorrow, too, their totals and everything like that. So, really looking forward to seeing how your props play out this season. Bobby Stanley, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And Mark, I'm a LA Rams fan, so whenever you guys want to talk NFC West, you give me a call. I got
yeah, there we go. Well, we could talk about how big the Arizona Cardinals have and if Shanahan is going to develop his quarterback. Other than that, Seattle sucks. So welcome back to the NFC West title. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, guys. You have a good rest of your Monday.
Hey, you too, Bobby. Thank you. That was Bobby Stanley breaking AFC East player props. All right, Zeno, let's take it from men to boys. Men to boys, Big 12 Heisman Watch. We broke down the Big 12 last week, what we're thinking about their totals, how we feel about the team, and who we think is going to win the conference. But at this point, I'm high on Texas, and so is the books in terms of a couple of their players when it comes to Heisman Watch. First of all, Bijan Robinson at 20-1 odds right now. This guy broke out as a sophomore last season, served as a workhorse on their offense, 10 games, ran for 1,127 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. That averages out to 11 touchdowns. Now he has a guy like Quinn Ewers under center, who we're going to break down next because his odds to win the Heisman are 28-1. And Xavier Worthy is also a wide receiver. This guy has the opportunity to be even more deadly this season. And you look at their schedule, they play Alabama in week 2. That's going to be a big test for this guy's Heisman candidacy, don't you think?
Yeah, they're going to get smoked. I am not as high on Texas as everybody else is at this point in time. Look, there's a public perception about, UT and that program and where it is and where it's going. Quinn Ewers would be my pick of the ones we have on our board here between Bijan Robinson, Quinn Ewers, and Dillon Gabriel. But here's the rub. You might not start. Like, there's a quarterback battle going on at UT between Ewers and Hudson Card. And if Steve Sarkisian is dumb enough to start Hudson Card again, he deserves to be fired. Like, I watched Hudson Card play the game they played against Arkansas last year. The kid is bad. Like, he's terrible. So Quinn Ewers is the better quarterback here, but for some reason they're keeping it close to the vest who QB1 is going to be. But since the Heisman has turned into a de facto quarterback award, with longer odds for Quinn Ewers than Bijan Robinson, I'd probably stick with Quinn in this spot.
Yeah, I agree with that too. The one thing about Bijan is he said he's been putting in a lot of work on his pass blocking this offseason. So he said he's been doing that every day, said it's going to make him more of a complete back. And with that part of his game, pairing it with what he already does, this guy could be lethal. Also, the Longhorns had a great O-line this season. That could open things up for him even more. But yeah, you talked about Quinn Ewers for a second. He's at 28-1 odds at this point. And Steve Sarkisian is a head coach. This dude, Quinn Ewers, has a Texas-sized mullet and a huge arm. He belongs in the state of Texas with the lettuce that he has on his head. And he now has a great core of weapons around him. They're loaded this year in the backfield at wide receiver. It gives him a ton of weapons to work with and find a good rhythm in the passing game. Like, you're throwing to guys like Worthy, Whittington, Nestor, Billingsley, Sanders, Bijan Robinson even. He should have a high floor in terms of, the production from his passing game and what to expect. Also, for me, and I don't know if you agree with this, with Steve Sarkisian, hopefully this guy is starting under center, first of all. But in Steve Sarkisian's last 4 years, he's coached up 4 different Heisman Trophy finalists. 2 of them were quarterbacks. And then if you trace it back to like 2010, I think 2009, 2010, all of his years at head coach or being a coordinator, the numbers that he's coached up to Heisman Trophy finalists is in the double digits. This guy knows how to coach up Heisman Trophy finalists. Do you think that kind of rubs off on a guy like Quinn Ewers too?
I would hope so. But what I smell for as you talk about all these names and everything, I'm like, what's that? Oh, that smells disappointment. That's what it feels like. That's what it smells like. Because that's all this is setting up for. If they don't have a year where they win the Big 12 and they go to the college football playoff, outside of visiting a New Year's Six bowl game, they're gonna be a disappointment. It's going to be a disappointment. They've locked and loaded. They have Arch Manning waiting in the wings, of course. There's a lot of hype around this program right now. This was the team that went 3-6 last year in conference play. Like, what are we doing here? Like, honestly, what are we doing? Like, it's a big leap to take to get to top of the Big 12 from 3-6.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I don't think that they're going to finish at the top of the Big 12, but I think they are going to get at least a few more conference wins this season. But that is one of the questions is, do they win enough games? And that's also the question that I have for this other guy on our list, Dylan Gabriel. He's set at 30-1 odds right now to win the Heisman. Does Oklahoma win enough games? Because this guy brings 3 years of starting experience from UCF. He's played meaningful snaps, unlike a guy like Quinn Ewers, right? He's had one of the most proven track records. The two things that I like about him for possibly winning the Heisman are he's playing in a really quarterback-friendly system. And number two, he's working under a familiar face in Jeff Levy, who also was at UCF in all 3 seasons that Gabriel spent there in that program. Do you think that continuity can kind of play off, or does Oklahoma not win enough games for this guy to be even looked at as a Heisman Trophy finalist?
I mean, I don't have a good feeling on Oklahoma. That's not an Oklahoma with Lincoln Riley. So, they're losing their wide receivers coach, Cale Gundy, the younger brother of Mike Gundy, who's at Oklahoma State. He resigned recently over some comments. Apparently there's a whole story out there. He didn't do anything bad, but he just resigned. So there's another guy out the window for this offense. So you're getting a lot of changes going over. It's hard for me to back that without seeing it and invest my money in it. So I'd stay away from Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, he's out. And for that reason, I'm out. You know what I'm in on, though? Is our best bets of the day. The Pickswise 3-star play of the day, Zeno. So as you go to the website, who do we see for a 3-star play of the day today?
Oh, well, it is a variety of 3-star plays of the day. But let's just go to Mark Lynch's yes run first inning up on the site there. There's 2 other tennis picks by Ricky Diamond. So you can go to Pickswise.com. You get a 3-star play of the day.
Pickswise.com. Check it out. Speaking of 3-star play of the days, I think that we're 10 out of 10 stars, Zeno. But your 3-star play of the day for today, your best bet, who do you got?
I'm taking Seattle and their team total over 3.5 again at a very favorable -110. Look, Jamison Tyone has been bad. He has a 5.04 ERA through the month of July. He's had just 3 quality starts since June, in which in May he had a 2.01 ERA. The guy has fallen off a cliff. Over his last 3 starts, he's walked 9 batters over 13 1/3 innings, including his last time out against Seattle, 4.2 innings pitched, 6 runs allowed, 2 home runs. He has been a complete dumpster fire. I was floored when I saw this number still at 3.5 and not at 4.5. Let's go Seattle over 3.5 total runs in this game. Oh, by the way, plus, the Yankees bullpen has been shaky as of late. So even if they don't get it off Tyone, it's very easily they can make it up in the later innings. Tyone hasn't gone past the 6th inning since June 2nd. So you're going to have 4 innings of at least 4 innings of Yankees bullpen to get through here for Seattle. It's definitely an over 3.5.
Yeah, I actually really, really do like that. Speaking of 3.5, I'm actually bumping it up 1 number to 4.5. Alex Wood over 4.5 strikeouts. It's at -106 FanDuel. It's actually even money, +100. I just looked that up on DraftKings right now. The Giants going up against the Padres. The Padres coming off of a series of getting swept here in LA I'm in LA right now, against the Dodgers. I was actually at that game yesterday. They lost 4-0, pretty crazy. But Wood, he has a 4.42 ERA on the season, 23.5% strikeout rate. He's averaging 1 strikeout per inning at this point, only has to go 5 innings. This could be a spot for him to capitalize if he can get ahead and stay ahead early on, right? The Padres have a 21.7% K rate and a 10.4% swinging rate. And also, you look at Alex Wood's numbers, he's hit this number in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's had like 7 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, including 1 game against the Padres. In San Diego right now, averaging 8.21 strikeouts per game. So I feel pretty good about Alex Wood over 4.5 strikeouts in this game against the Padres. The Padres feeling a little bit deflated, and you can get it on DraftKings at even money, +100. FanDuel laying 6 cents for it at -106. But take the over with Alex Wood, chopping it down, punching it out, 1 after another until he gets to 5, and it's getting a hit, baby. Let's go. That is Monday for us today on Pickswise. You can find Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Mark Zeno, Lauren Javara, We'll see you guys tomorrow. Best of luck tonight. Let's get it. Let's bet it.